Going to law school isn't just about memorizing a bunch of laws. It's a total rewiring of your brain. So today, we're going to dig into what it really means to think like a lawyer, how that whole transformation happens, and what's the hidden price you pay for it. So check this out. A study at the ANU College of Law looked right into this. And the feedback from one student, wow, it just jumps off the page. They said law school changed them in important ways, making them more rational, analytical, competitive, and adversarial. I mean, think about that. This isn't just learning new stuff. It's a deep, fundamental shift in who you are as a person. And that transformation, it's the absolute core of legal education. But, it opens up some huge questions, right? Like, what is this change exactly? How does it even happen? And maybe most importantly, what's the hidden cost of creating this brand new way of thinking? All right, so let's tackle the big one first. Thinking like a lawyer. It's a phrase that gets thrown around all the time in legal circles, but what on earth does it actually mean? Well, turns out it's a bit of a mystery. Yeah, this whole idea is just packed with contradictions. On one side, you've got this noble idea of developing a moral compass, right? A complex understanding of the moral dimensions of experience. But then on the other side, it's about becoming a cold, calculating machine, someone with the ability to think precisely, to analyze coldly, and manipulate the machinery of law. So, which one is it? Can you be both? That's the real tension we're going to unpack here. Okay, so to really get this transformation, we've got to look at how this new legal mind is actually built. It's almost like we're watching an assembly line, putting it together piece by piece. Here's a good way to think about it. Imagine law school is installing a brand new operating system in your brain. Seriously, it's designed to systematically overwrite your old, default ways of thinking. And one of the most important programs in this new OS is a little thing called IRAC. So what is IRAC? Well, it's a super structured way to break down legal problems. It stands for issue, rule, application, and conclusion. People call it the essence of sound legal analysis, because honestly, it gives you this methodical, almost paint-by-numbers way to approach any problem you're given. The whole process is just this clean, logical sequence. Step 1, identify the legal issue. Step 2, state the governing rule. Step 3, apply that rule to the facts of the case. And finally, Step 4, draw your conclusion. Look, it's a really powerful tool for taking apart complex problems, for sure. But it's so methodical, so rigid, that there's just no room for emotion or intuition. And this is the first big step, prioritizing cold, hard logic over your gut feeling. But here's the thing. This kind of cognitive rewiring, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It comes with a very, very real psychological cost. There is absolutely a hidden price tag attached to installing this new operating system. In that ANU College of Law study we mentioned, it didn't just ask people how they felt. Nope, it actually measured the change, and the results were pretty striking. The research showed a significant, measurable impact on the mental well-being of first-year law students. Now, to really wrap our heads around what they found, we need to get these two modes of thinking they were looking at. On one side, you have rational thinking. That's the logical, analytical stuff that law school drills into you day in and day out. But on the other side, you've got experiential thinking. That's more like your gut instinct, your preference to bring your intuitive impressions and feelings into the mix. In this chart, this shows exactly what happens during that first year of law school. Rational thinking, as you'd probably guess, goes way up. But here's the kicker. Experiential thinking goes down. So why does that matter? Well, it means this new operating system, the one built on rigid frameworks like IRAC, isn't just adding a new skill, it's actively suppressing an old one. It's pushing out that intuitive, feeling-based part of your mind. And believe me, this isn't just some abstract shift on a graph. It has very real consequences. The study found a direct and pretty scary link. Lower levels of experiential thinking were associated with increased symptoms of psychological distress. So by tamping down that intuition, legal education might actually be harming its students without even meaning to. And again, this isn't just data. The students themselves felt this. They talked about feeling more competitive, more adversarial, but also feeling insecure, feeling like they couldn't succeed, and this one's huge, feeling totally isolated. This is the human cost of that transformation. So you have to ask why. Why does legal education push students down this path? Well, it is definitely not an accident. This whole transformation is designed for one very specific purpose: to get them ready for the adversarial arena. This lawyer brain that's been installed, the one that's super analytical, rational, detached, and competitive, it's perfectly calibrated for one environment, the adversarial legal system. That's the main model you see in places like the US, the UK, and Australia. And this image really nails the core of that system. It's all built on a binary choice. It forces two completely opposite stories into the ring, the plaintiff's version versus the defendant's version, and then a judge or jury has to pick one. It's win or lose, guilty or not guilty. That's it. But let's be real, life is almost never that black and white, is it? And this system gets a lot of criticism for that very reason. Critics say it oversimplifies really complex situations, and it can make the goal winning instead of finding the truth. It actually encourages both sides to make extreme claims, which just distorts reality and ignores all the nuance in the middle. And for really complicated stuff, like big multi-party cases over environmental or policy issues, it just might not work very well at all. Okay, so all of this has led a lot of people in the legal world to step back and ask a pretty fundamental question. Is there a better way to do this? Can we reimagine legal education so that we're creating not just better lawyers, but healthier, more well-rounded people? Let's take a look at that path forward. And the contrast between the old way and a new way is, well, it's pretty stark. The typical law school experience is all about intense individual competition, feeling isolated, and this constant pressure to have the right answer. But a reimagined law school that's built on things like collaboration, transparency, way more feedback, and creating real connections to mentors and the actual world. The goal becomes building lawyers, not breaking people. And look, this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky fantasy. The legal world itself is already starting to move beyond a purely adversarial model. You're seeing the rise of alternatives like mediation, negotiation, and consensus building. And what do these require? A totally different skill set. Things like collaboration, creative problem solving, empathy. The exact experiential skills that traditional law school tends to stamp out. It really suggests the whole profession is evolving, and legal education has a massive opportunity to catch up, and maybe even lead the way. So, at the end of the day, we're left with this really powerful thought. Becoming a lawyer isn't just about learning a bunch of rules from a book. It's a fundamental rewiring of who you are. And that leaves us with one last critical question to chew on. If law school literally changes how we think, then who do we become in the process?